You don't have to dig deep from 2005's Hulk Ultimate Destruction to see where the game's prototype lies. See what I did there? That's like the name of the game. Rather than continuing an established IP, Radical created their own new open-world variant and gave us Prototype, a game about an anti-hero chasing the cause of a contagion wiping through New York. Dubbed Blacklight, this synthetic virus turns its citizens into zombie-like infected humans and ferocious mutants, including our man Alex Mercer. A man so edgy, the guitarist of U2 is starting to get a little bit suspicious. Alex is a force to be reckoned with. Buildings protrude growths, water towers birth mutants, and a mercenary team called Blackwatch have a plan to bring the whole thing to a violent end. The virus has taken a shine to Alex and given him superhuman powers, where he can morph his body into various destructive and defensive weapons. So Hammerfist causes massive blunt force trauma, Shield absorbs the impacts but can also be used as a battering ram. Armour fully encases Alex at the cost of movement speed, and Blade is practically a giant arm sword. Whipfist can sever through crowds from a distance, and Claws can hack them down quickly when they get all up in your grill. That's not all, as Alex can sprint at incredible speeds and leap incredible heights. He can scale up buildings on foot, flip, dart and dash out of danger's way, lob heavy objects long distances, and even glide over short distances. Alex is powerful, but he isn't invincible, so when he inevitably takes damage, you need to regain his health by consuming any morsel you come across on the street. Overfill his health bar beyond the limit, and you can unleash a Devastator move that deals out a massive amount of punishment to whoever is in the close vicinity. Oh, and that last morsel you just consumed, yeah, you can assume his form now. Handy for getting away from trouble or into places you shouldn't be in. When you consume a specific target, you can also access their memories and uncover blanks in Alex's history on the web of intrigue. Actions, missions, and taking out targets grants the player evolution points, which can be spent on upgrading and unlocking new moves to make him all the more unstoppable. So Alex was presumed dead, about to go under an autopsy knife, when he came down with a sudden case of being alive again. He discharges himself into the scopes of Blackwatch and narrowly escapes. He has no memory of the incident that led him to ending up in the morgue, but he does find out that he has a sister who he enlists to help him hunt down who's responsible for this kick-ass arm sword. Blackwatch needs to bring him down in any way necessary. The story can be a bit convoluted and cliche at times. It doesn't necessarily take a backseat to the gameplay, more it catches the next bus. Alex is a cool and interesting character in a narrative. Let's be real though, Prototype's gameplay will always be heralded over its story. You play this game to hack through waves of zombies, military suits and mutants. It's just the rest of the package gives me a few conflicting feelings. I played on normal and still felt the wrath of the difficulty curve. I had faith I could beat the game, and in the end I did, but there were just so many issues with how it was presented and structured that seemed to hinder progression and made it a slog to get through. Like, the game has a habit of taking away your hard-earned powers and not giving you room to breathe to use them effectively. Some missions will require you to pilot a vehicle or to nurse an NPC, or have Alex lose most of his enhancements for a few chapters because of a plot device. Alex is at his best when he's at his most destructive, and shooting guns, flying helicopters and driving tanks is nowhere near as dynamic or fun as engaging in hand-to-hand combat. That doesn't mean the combat entirely gets a free pass, because there will be times where you're fighting mutants and Blackwatch, feeling left out, will want to join the party. So you're having to contend with an almighty barrage of punches, missiles, gunfire, super soldiers. Alex is ragdolling A over T. You're trying to dodge being hit and connect with your own attacks, whilst the auto lock-on is dancing its own erratic jig. Thankfully, the checkpoint system is both fair and warranted. And with the magnitude of side missions to do, the web of intrigue to uncover, landmarks and tips to collect, and powers to enhance, I felt like a lot was lost in a sea of noise. You can trudge your way back through menus and maps to look at all the movesets or expositions, but menu diving isn't diving your shoe through someone's skull. Stealth sections can feel a bit underbaked. Having to consume and assume the form of a key-holding officer will grant you access to a stronghold, wherein the rewards only really benefit non-Blacklight virus forms of attack, something that I very rarely used. The entire base can be wiped out to momentarily delay a helicopter strike package being sent out, but why would you, when eliminating a strike package with Alex's brute force is way more fun. Amusingly, you'll be milling around a blue sky metropolis one moment, people apathetically commuting to work only to head to a different block, and that part of the district turns into an apocalypse. People screaming and running away from mutants, the sky is now a healthy shade of crimson and the military are just mowing down anything in their path. If you can avoid the confrontation, you can destroy the nests and the water towers for some health and EP bonuses. This is probably where the helicopter and the tank can actually help matters. Just slingshot into the nearest vehicle, turn the operator into pudding, and use missiles to do the dirty work for you. But like a virus, Prototype genuinely had a grip on me. There is definitely fun to be had in this game, as shoddy as it can be. Traversal around Manhattan is graceful and satisfying, zipping through traffic, leaping to and from building before slamming down with the force to turn the asphalt into craters. With that typical superhero 3-point power stance landing, of course. When you tackle the dodgy controls, you can pull off some impressive moves, and that's what urged me on. You'll find yourself sprinting up buildings, grabbing hold of an air conditioning unit, only to chuck it full force into a helicopter. I especially like how after a rampage, a splash screen comes up listing the amount of damage you've done, and getting that score high becomes a challenge in itself. Open world games seem to become an epidemic themselves, with many from that era trying different things and seeing what stuck without being an all-out action crime simulator circa Grand Theft Auto 3. Prototype is fresh in that regard, rough around the edges, sometimes narratively awkward, visually a bit dated. I think the controls and the difficulty could be overwhelming, but there's a few good moments, a great cinematic score, some good characters, and good voice acting. It's when you embrace the catharsis you soon realise the game is better as a rogue superhero power fantasy playground, where you can throw a car at a tank or cleave through civilians with no care and eat a captain for lunch. Being the baddie comes with its own enjoyments. Most games expect you to play as a hero. Prototype expects and allows you to be the villain. Sometimes it can be good to be bad.
I was made for this.